All right, fellas, so welcome to the video. I promised that we'd start doing more how-to type of things. I've got a good one here today. We've got a hood that has been repaired, body work's all done, prime blocked, all that. Scratches are minimized down to a 320 level scratch, but this hood's been repainted, and it's one of those my Uncle Bob, the cheap paint job, maybe Mako, I'm not sure, but it's single stage. Well, you might ask yourself, how do I tell if I'm working with single stage material? So we're just going to take us a piece of sandpaper, whatever it is, and sand a little bit out here. And as I sand, I pull that back. You see the green on there. So we know that's not a base coat, clear coat finish. That is a single stage finish. And it takes some special attention to be able to do this. We're not going to single stage repaint the whole hood. We're going to use base coat that's been matched to this color by someone taking a picture and getting the closest match. We're going to use that base coat to blend out away from our repair area, and then we're going to clear the whole hood, but we got to prep the hood first. And the first part of that prep is going to be to compound the hood. Well, clean it first, then compound it, and then we'll scuff it with a Scotch-Brite pad, and that'll provide enough scratch for our clear coat to stick, and then we'll get it in and get started painting on this thing. All right, guys, so today's a school day, right? We're learning how to blend base coat over something that was originally painted with single stage paint, and trying to explain it as I go through. It's not super hard to do, but you got to follow a few rules or else it will look awful. So first thing we're doing is we're identifying what we're working with. Is it a base clear or a single stage? Well, it's pretty easy unless the car's white. You just take a little piece of sandpaper, sand it, and if you see color, that's the color of the car, it is single stage. If it comes off and it's white, you're sanding clear coat. So two separate directions we take after you identify that you're working with a single stage. You know, we're gonna go through these. So I identify what I'm working with first, and then I come back and I clean it. Wax and grease remover, or in this case, we just used glass cleaner on this hood because it was pretty clean already. So once I get it clean, I want to compound it. You can do this by machine or by hand. Doesn't matter too much on that. You just want to make sure that you have that finish, all of the dead paint pulled off of it, so you're working with fresh compounded paint. Don't polish it, just compound it. Make sure the compound you're using is body shop friendly. It doesn't have silicone in it. That's the big thing. Absolutely no wax, okay? Once I compound it, I'm gonna scuff the whole surface, and I could clean it again here, that's fine. But scuffing, we just wanna use like a gray colored Scotch-Brite, which is equivalent to 600. Don't use sandpaper. Sandpaper will sand the top of the metallics. It'll go through your top thin layer of paint, and you could have problems with that. So gray Scotch-Brite, scuff it thoroughly, and then I'm gonna clean it again. All right, and we're doing a repair here. We have a primer area in the front middle of our hood, so we need to seal that surface. We've only sanded it with like a 320 grit scratch, so we put the sealer on there. That takes care of filling in those minor sand scratches. It'll help to seal any bare metal that you might have, those kind of things. We don't want to put base coat just over them. So once we get it sealed and everything's looking good there, then we go to the base coat step. And you're going to spray that base just over the sealer. Get that to where you can't see the sealer through the base. Works good to turn the lights off in the room you're in and use a bright light, and it'll help you see through the base if it's too thin. So once we're happy with the way our base coat is covered, then we're going to blend that color out. And blending is just tapering from fully covered to nothing, and you're doing that inside of a panel so that you trick the eye and you don't have a color mismatch on the edges. So very important. Almost every collision repair job has some blending in there. And then the last step, we're going to clear coat it. Okay, you wait. Once your base coat's good, you're happy with that, you're going to put your clear on there. And all these paint products, you're just going to have to read a technical data sheet and follow the manufacturer's recommendations.
Beautiful as sunrise.
All right, so as you saw, hood got buffed compound with compound, and then we're using gray Scotch-Brite. It's now clean. We're getting ready to move this into the spray booth so that we can seal the primer area and then put base coat on and get this thing done. Well, all right, guys, here we are in the booth. We've got our sealer applied, and I'm running a tack rag around the edges just to knock down any overspray that I might have. And I start out spraying just back and forth through this sealed area. I'm trying to cover up the sealer plus the overspray. This color covers pretty good, so it's not going to take crazy number of coats. And I've sped this up and cut out the flash time, but I did do 3 separate coats with about 5 minutes in between. Here I'm blending the color, and you can see my spray gun. I'm not fanning it back out across the hood. I'm spraying very lightly and then spraying into my other colors so I do not create overspray. All right, guys, so I don't think that I can make this speck here show up on camera, but there is a big old garbage piece right there. And I just knocked it off with my finger. Then I just use a little bit of some sandpaper. Don't want to go too coarse, but you can certainly hit it with 600 or something like that. And I'm just going to lightly run over here to knock down dirt nibs. And then I'll use a tack rag and I'll clean it. Now, you have to apply more base over this. You cannot just clear right over what you sanded, or it'll look like you used a grinder on it. So we're going to go through, and I'm going to lightly denib the top of this hood. I'll re-clean it, and then we'll hit it with one more coat of base, and then we'll be ready to clear. Where that dirt nib was, you can see it was gray in color. So I like to sand those out now, because if we wait until later, you know, we cleared over it and then we went to sand and buff that out, you would have that gray spot there when you buff. So good idea to knock them down right now. It'll make your paint work turn out so much better. Well, all right, guys, here we are back in the booth. The colors all flashed off after sanding and reapplying more on that last coat. And I'm just blowing and wiping this down with a tack rag again to eliminate any kind of garbage, followed by my first coat of good quality clear here. And you can see I'm basically pouring it on here. The hood being that cheaper single stage paint, it had a lot of texture in it already. So I'm going to lay my first coat on soaking wet, and we'll see if we can't level out a little bit of that texture. I think it works out for us. So it's basically
You know, just 50% overlap, spraying it on super wet. We got a couple other pieces in the booth here. We're going to clear them as well. And yeah, we just keep on going with it. Got to get it done. So here I am putting the second coat on, and no, I didn't start in the middle of the hood. I'd actually done half of the hood already, and then I'm just finishing out. So when you're clear coating, you always try to keep a wet edge, and I was taught to start on the edge that's closest to you, spray to the middle, catch it in the middle, and carry it to the other side, keeping it wet all the way along. And it's just kind of how I learned how to do it. Your mileage will vary on that.
All right, so I have my my light out here checking our color. I'm actually just trying to show you guys how this looks, like where the factory finish was. It all looks good, but you can look at the back edge and like we did nothing back there, and I can almost see through the paint. And then up at the front, everything looks good because we sprayed all of it. When we get out at these edges, you can see all this weirdness in the metallic out here. If that shows up on camera, that's not our doing. That was already that way. So yeah, I hope you guys have learned something on how to prep a single stage metallic panel to blend a base coat clear coat finish over the top of. Leave me a comment and let me know what other kind of how-to things you would like to see. This is something that's just kind of helps if you're wanting to repair a vehicle. You could do this on an older car that had original single stage paint, and you didn't want to paint an entire panel. You didn't want to have a bad color issue where it was butted up, so you blend it into the next panel. This will work for doing that as well. So thanks for watching, and if you would, hit that subscribe button, click the notification, give me a thumbs up, and we'll catch you guys on the next video.